Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back. Apparently, there were some login issues this morning, so I am just going to quickly run through a little bit of my presentation again. My apologies if you are listening to this. If you did log in exactly on time without any difficulty and you have to listen to me again, I'll be very, very quick, though. I'm going to go through the slides very quickly, mainly with some highlights. So hopefully we'll get back to this again, what we had in 2018, an in-person conference, lots of trade show opportunities, a gala dinner, things like that. But right now we're going through what we're calling VUCA times. I think if you took part in if you listened to Adam Creek's presentation this morning, he mentioned it as well. Plus, there's a session tomorrow morning in the leadership stream on leading through VUCA times. So we've been quite fortunate in terms of how we've been functioning at the EOCP. We've been pretty agile, we've been flexible. As Adam talked about things, the goal has remained the same in terms of what we do, but our path is a little bit different. Along with dealing with some of the challenges of VUCA times, we've also been working on some new initiatives. We've got a bit of a reputation now with regards to being collaborative and interested in working on issues related to water and wastewater that enhance public health and environmental protection. So I'm going to talk very quickly about those two initiatives. Three. The first one is a new operator training school, and this came about as a result of a collaborative effort between Metro Vancouver, some member municipalities, Tsawwassen First Nation, and BCIT and the EOCP. And there's a need for this type of training school in the Lower Mainland because this is where the greatest need of operators is, and yet we didn't have a local school, and the grads from the other schools that are really great in BC didn't always want to move here because they didn't have roots here, and it's very expensive living in the Lower Mainland. So the first cohort for this operator school will be in as of January 2021. Another project that we worked on, we were approached by City of Vancouver to partner on this. And another partner on this project was Vancouver Coastal Health. And together we have worked to develop a new EOCP certification. This is the Building Water Systems Certification. It relates to systems such as cooling towers, potable building water systems, as well as non-potable, as I mentioned, the cooling towers, as well as ornamental fountains. So this certification is pretty well ready to go. The first people will be able to apply for it in January 2021, and we have some training providers already working on the course materials for this. And last but not least, my sincere thank you to all the mentors who volunteered for the Operator Peer Network. Your support has been most invaluable when we were contacted by Dr. Bonnie Henry's office to see if operators would be able to provide support if a community had their operators get ill from COVID-19, and we had an astonishing amount of support. And I'm just going to, before I move on to the next part, just acknowledge our hardworking board of directors and the staff team at the EOCP. We've had some challenges put in our way, and we've continued with barely breaking stride, continuing to provide classification services, operator exam services related to certification, as well as supporting training providers with their courses. So at this point, I'm just going to go to our panel here. And our panelists are 4 board directors: Chris Lawrence, who is chair of the board; Anna Agnew, who is a director; Peter Coxon, who is a director as well; and Jim McCory, who is a director. And just starting things off, maybe Chris, you can talk a little bit about your path a little bit in terms of becoming an operator and how and what some of your highlights are. One of the things that Adam talked about this morning was the roses and your thorns. So can you maybe elaborate on, how that might apply to you?
Roses and thorns, that's a great question. I guess my path started out as a succession plan with the District of New Hazelton. And that was one of my first tasks, was to become a certified operator. I was instantly fascinated with the world of, especially water treatment. I just thought it was so neat, all the processes involved, and I really enjoyed that. So then I guess my path continued on from there, and ended up into more of a management role, but still being able to operate as well. So as far as roses and thorns, I guess you could say my philosophy is very similar to Adam's. I look at a lot of those challenges as opportunities, and so far things have worked out very well. But I think it, like Adam was saying, I think it's a matter of perspective, is how you approach these situations that you might call problems.
Anyone else want to comment on a rose and thorn kind of day in terms of, just a situation where you look at and you go, that was a thorn, but that was a rose?
I think certainly for me, working in a consulting engineering firm, when we get economic downturns, those are rose and thorn days, where I can't control what's happening out there with the economy, but I can control what I do in terms of picking up the phones, engaging with clients, engaging with operators, and looking for new opportunities. So it's, again, like Chris and like Adam, I see those as challenges, and they teach you to grow, and you learn new skills. So I think without challenges, we wouldn't grow, we wouldn't develop, we wouldn't innovate. So I see the rose as the innovation, the creativity that comes out of that thorn, which is, an economic downturn or something that's out of my control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anna or Jim?
I often, every day, roses and thorns I find in the water and wastewater industry. We often have come across unexpected pipe breaks or equipment malfunctions and have to figure out workarounds, and we put our thinking caps on, and similar to what Adam mentioned, instead of bringing problems to the table, we bring ideas or solutions, and they don't always work, but often they do, and I just find it so rewarding when we can fix a problem that we didn't even anticipate that morning.
Jim?
I think one of the interesting things that's happened, and I think I'm pretty safe to say that most of the water or wastewater treatment plants have gone through certain upgrades in the last decade or 2 decades in the province. And going through regulation changes, going through plant upgrades, commissioning of new equipment. A lot of that can be very stressful on individuals, and it's not until you're finished and completed and it's actually things are moving along that you kind of get that feeling of accomplishment and that improvement to the basically to the environment. As all that money and all that energy is placed into the growth of the province, and I think it's been good. I've worked a long time in the business, and I went through expansions at both the Anasis wastewater treatment plant and the Lulu Island wastewater treatment plant. And at times, those were some of the longest, most stressful days of my career. And I look back at them now, and they were probably the most enjoyable with hindsight.
Anna, just focusing on, since you're working as an operator, in terms of what impact has COVID-19 had on you in terms of your work environment?
Oh, it's had a big impact. We have been working every day through COVID, of course, because people need water to their house and clean sanitation leaving their house at the wastewater treatment plant. I work for the town of Gibsons as their chief operator. So through it, there been numerous protocols in place that have changed our work days. We have to work a lot more independently now. If we work in groups, we have to add face masks to our PPE, and we can't drive together. And for a little while, it slowed down our work, just the projects we were able to do. But we're sort of back to a regular schedule now, and just being very cautious and very aware.
Chris, how about you?
We've, similar to Anna, we've seen a little bit of slowdown in the way that we operate, and I think we operate a little more methodical now. We have plenty of COVID policies in place now that have changed the landscape of our working environment, but it still enables us to do or to provide those services that are so essential. Mm-hmm. So it's nice to it's nice to be in an organization and just these communities we have that are able to be so adaptable during these very strange times we're in. So yeah, it speaks to all the operators out there.
I feel a strong sense of pride and dedication that through the COVID, we've been there every day working on our water treatment and our wastewater treatment and keeping the community healthy and safe.
Okay, Peter, how about you?
Well, for us, when COVID hit in March, we actually we basically went at the office on the Monday morning, picked up our laptops, and we went home. As consultants, we're obviously not handling pipes and valves and things on a day-to-day basis. So we're in the fortunate position that we can move home. We'd already migrated to Microsoft Teams about 2 years previously, so it was pretty seamless. And I think we've been able to maintain touch with our clients. But that I'm missing, of course, is I love going out to treatment plant, meeting with the operators, kicking the tires, as it were. And so now we're doing a lot of that virtually, Zoom calls and FaceTime and sending pictures. So it is a bit of a challenge. But we're slowly starting to migrate back to in-person meetings, visiting treatment plants again, and working with operators and working with owners. So I think we got through that initial period of no contact, and now we're starting informed, methodical type in-person contact, which is good, because that's what sort of drives us.
Mm-hmm. Jim, what about you? I know you've retired, but that has, you've seen some changes there too.
Yeah, I have. I do stay in touch with a lot of my coworkers and things, and I think one of the things I'm finding interesting, being a little off to the side, is the importance of the roles. There's a lot of employment areas where people have been laid off or put back, and I think for operators in this province and all the disciplines, they've actually had to pick it up a little bit. They've had to improvise. They've had to, keep things going, because it's just not acceptable to, stay home for a week and not keep the water treatment plants going and not keep the sewage treatment plants treating. That just wasn't an option. So the operators, in my opinion, were really frontline, making changes and adapting quite quickly.
Okay, thank you. And if you had to, let's start off with you, Jim. If you had to give one piece of advice to someone who's in the industry in terms of dealing with our current situation and continuing to manage, what would that be? Because you've got a wealth of experience. Well,
I guess if you're speaking from the pandemic perspective, I would just, you've got your objectives, you've got your goals, you've got you're responsible for a very important piece of infrastructure for your community. Mm-hmm. So you've got to maintain that. And it's the regulations, and as rules change and as expectations change, you've got to be flexible enough to adapt, because it's just not acceptable to shut it off for a couple days and go figure it out. You got to keep going. Mm. Yeah. So,
Anna, what advice would you give?
Through COVID, but also just through my career and being an operator, I take so much sense of pride that we're there working every day to bring clean water to people's homes, and they don't even think about that, or potentially don't even think about that when they turn on the taps or have a shower. And then on the other end, that we are plugging away every day and protecting the environment and doing the best job treating. And I just take a huge sense of pride that we did that during COVID, and we do it 365.
Fire, flood, or earthquake, or COVID.
We're there, and yeah, I've really enjoyed the peer networking as well. That's another side.
And Chris?
I think it's for operators. It's easy to get stuck in the day-to-day, and let that affect what's going on in the work environment. But I think a lot of what Adam said this morning really resonated with me. To look at those problems as solutions, or how you can make change or be responsible for the things that are in your control. Yeah, I just thought that was such a good way to put things, and hopefully that puts some things in perspective for everyone. I know it has definitely worked for me, and yeah, those are great words.
Okay. And for anyone that missed the session with Adam this morning, just a heads up, that session was recorded, and we will send all that information to all the delegates. But we're kind of running low on time because we have to do the session change soon. But I do have one quick question, and maybe two directors can just answer the question very quickly. This just came in terms of why did you join the board?
I've been an operator for over 15 years, and I wanted to see how the board runs, what it does, how it's involved. I wanted to sort of give back to my industry.
Okay. And actually, I will, rather than ask anyone to answer that same question, I'm going to move on to the other question is, would you recommend someone else run for the board? Would you recommend that operators or engineers or training providers run for the board? Someone else would like to answer that?
Yeah, I would, just speaking again, as I'm the consultant rep on the board, I would certainly recommend someone to, as a consultant, run for the board. In my experience over almost 40 years, operators do an amazing job, and I think sometimes they're not fully appreciated and understood. And I think being one of my roles here on the board is to be an advocate for operators in the consulting community, to say these are people that you really need to work with. And as I said in my opening remarks this morning to introduce to Adam, is I found in my experience working with urban systems, when we've combined operators into our consulting teams, the solutions we come up with are more sustainable. And it helps us all grow and develop in our community, in our careers. So absolutely, I'm an advocate for operators, and I think we need to make sure that that they feel fully supported by us.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and that wraps up our session. And we're starting in the individual rooms in just over 5 minutes at 1 o'clock. So if you just pick your stream, log into that stream, and then we'll see you in 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kalpana.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good work.
Thanks, you guys.